Hello, everyone. It's Aneta here. Thank you so much for taking the time from your busy schedule and meeting me here on this amazing event, willing to watch the presentation I have for you. And today we're going to be talking about the chaos meeting order, also known as how the art team can benefit from data. And it's going to be a case study that's based on the Hunting Clash experience, which is the game I'm currently working on. So thanks again for being here. I hope you will have a lot of fun and you will enjoy our time together. And let me start with this question. Do you know what's the difference between a dinosaur and a zombie? And my assumption would be that some of your faces would be quite confused at the moment because, of course, there are so many differences. But we need to take a special angle on this one today, and we're gonna discuss the difference between a dinosaur and a zombie when it comes to our players. And for that, please bear with me, and I hope and I promise you that at the end of this presentation, you will know. So before we jump right into it, let me share with you who I am and also who I am not. Because I work as an art manager with 10 Square Games, that's a mobile game company. We have several projects, and one of them is the Hunting Clash project, and that's my project. And of course, our amazing team works on the project with me. As you can see, I'm the art manager, which also would suggest I'm an artist, but I'm not an artist. Then you may hope I would be a technical person, which I'm also not. And to be honest with you, when it comes to artistic talents, I'm not even that talented. So why am I here? Why did I get this position? Is because I have this special secret skill, and this is to enable the people to flourish and to find ways to make sure that they can perform in the way they want to perform, and that the job that they're doing is fun for them, and that they can constantly reach out for new solutions and do new things. So that's a little bit about me. I think that's enough, and let's continue. So what's the connection between art and data, you may ask, or rather data? And a lot of people can't see any connection or refuse to see any connection because they don't want to put any measures on art. They don't believe that the beauty can be measured. And I'm totally on the same page with that. But what can be measured is actually how our players perceive the art that we're doing for them. And because I'm not an artist, I don't have any problems reaching out for the data. And because I'm also a manager, I have to take care of the other parts of the projects, which are people and which are the monetization tactics. So when it comes to the structure of my talk, we're going to cover 3 parts. The first part is the setup of the collection process. So not only I will tell you a little bit more about the project and why we needed the data that we reached for, but also I will give you basically like a set of tools that you can implement into your project if you choose so, and get the proper information for yourself. Then I'm going to share some survey results with you, and I will have to be very secretive about it, but we had some agreements within the company about the parts that we can share, so I hope this will be enough value and enough fun for you. And at the end, we will cover the outcomes and the benefits of the tests, not only for our artists, but also for the whole project, and hopefully for you in the future. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down now. But basically, we will continue with the Q&A session at the end. So by now, if you're asking yourself and you're in a good place, I hope it will be very interesting for everyone who's an artist, who's an animator, but also for people who are either producers or art leads who take care of the team. And that's going to be especially useful for people who want to do some crazy stuff on the project. And if the crazy stuff is dinosaurs, then please stay with us because they're going to pop up several times today. It's 3 o'clock, at least here in Poland. Some of you may choose to have lunch, or if you're like my artist team, for sure you're listening to me in the background and you're doing your amazing work. So for everyone who's listening with only half of the brains, I have the 3 important takeaways at the very beginning. And spoiler alert, I will get back to them at the end as well. So what's to take away? Please remember that data is much more fun than you expect, and I promise you it is. And it also makes creative decisions much, much easier. It's much better than guesswork, because the metrics are showing which choices are right. And I'm pretty sure several times you had so many ideas, your imagination flew so far away that you didn't know how to get it back within the time frames of the projects and what to choose. And the way that the data can help is actually to support all the important choices that you want to make, everything that you want to do for your team, every creative borders that you maybe want to cross, and also show you what's not acceptable for the players. And that third takeaway is basically that the projects that are based on data when it comes to art monetize better as you deliver what the players want to see. And if you're a mobile game project based on monetization, then definitely this is something that you can relate to. But if you're sitting there thinking, I'm not a free-to-play game, I'm not a mobile game, we don't monetize. As long as you sell your game to your players, you do monetize. And with the gateways on the project, when you work on a regular game, so to say, like a game that you sell at the end, you definitely have several moments when you should be asking your players about the gameplay, about the feeling of the game. And it's also a good idea to include some art questions to that part to have all the answers and to take care of the monetization. That's my manager's hat. So let's jump to part one, which is data collection. And I have a feeling I will be fluctuating between saying data and data, and you just have to excuse me for that. I've been trying all morning, but it's just not working. So back to the topic, Hunting Clash. What kind of game is it? It's a hunting game, surprise, surprise. It's a mobile game, surprise, surprise. And what we offer within the product, and I highly recommend that you download it and check it out, is the dozens of realistic and nature-based locations that our players can enjoy, and hundreds of animals for them to be able to hunt on. And also what hunters need are weapons. So we also have a huge variety of weapons and weapon skins that people can choose to get the full hunting experience. What this lecture is going to be focused on are the locations. And because we are artists here, at least guys you are, and I'm like semi-artist, I thought you may be interested in seeing the art style of our game. So I'm sharing some locations with you now, and then I'm gonna share more throughout the presentation. So this is our first location. It's Montana in the US. And as you can see, it's quite realistic. And because art is our unique selling point as well for the game, we want to make sure that the experience of being in the nature is going to be overwhelming. And we got some great feedback during COVID as well that our players did enjoy our locations. So that's another location from a totally different part of the world. That's Kamchatka in Russia. As you can see, totally different setting, also different sky, different weather. And it does transform you. With the music, it does transform you to a different part. And that's another one, and this one is very special for us. It's Washington, also of Washington State, also in the United States. And as you can see on this one, we have the hunting tower. And the hunting tower was a result of a different study that we did with our customers. That was one done with the marketing team. And what we found out is that they really, really want to have the experience from the tower. So we decided to deliver, and this location is in the game already for the hunters to enjoy. So that's the game, more or less. And now let's go to the challenges. And also the challenges were how it started that we decided to get the researchers involved. So there were several challenges that we were facing. The first one was the general fear that we will run out of animals. And it was not necessarily the fear that we had within the team, but a lot of people approached us asking, like, how do you want to do it? How long for can you deliver the locations? What are the limits? And because word is almost limitless when it comes to the animals, like it wasn't really that much of a real fear, but we also wanted to provide the unique experience on every location. And with that, the amount of deers and bears and rabbits can be a bit limiting. Then we had another challenge that's quite the opposite. We had too many ideas to choose from. We wanted to do a lot of locations from various parts of the world. We had team either hoping or brainstorming or choosing the locations. And we had to put an order into them. We had to prioritize. And for the priorities, again, because I'm a manager, I rather prioritize based on data than on a hunch and on an intuition. So the ideas, I wanted to put some order into them. And actually that covers the point number 3, which I haven't realized. So we weren't sure how to prioritize our location ideas. And we thought someone can help us with that. And who would be the person to do that? Possibly not one person, but our players. So on top of that, we also had other challenges. When I joined the team, I asked them, like, how do you feel about the repetitiveness of your work? Is there something extra that you would like to do? And they said that they'd love to do the dinosaurs. Several people approached me telling me that they would love to do that, but they don't see how it's possible on a project that's actually nature-based and that has to be realistic. So I thought, okay, I like the challenge, I'll find a way. And then we had another part of the team who really wanted to test some more advanced solutions when it comes to the technicals, some shaders, some different types of lighting. Even we want to change the pipeline of the way how we do the locations. So there was a lot of internal need within the team for a change. And at the same time, we wanted to make sure that it's not going to hinder the game, that the game is going to do as better as always or even better. So with that, I wanted to find some time for the people to go crazy as well. And therefore, I thought we can tap into the existing resources that we have and take some of the assets from other games, because we have 2 other games that I'm going to mention to you just now. That's Fishing Clash and Undead Clash. See the reference to the zombie? So I wanted to see if we can maybe take something off of them. At that point, we were able to come up with some realistic questions that were easy to ask. And I would like to make a shout out to a beautiful woman, Anya Martenka, who helped us a lot. She was from the customer insight, and she helped us with putting those questions into action. So what we wanted to ask for really was, where are the limits of our players' stays? And that may sound funny, but when you have in mind that you're a hunting game and you're thinking dinosaurs and you're thinking fish, and maybe you have a lot of other crazy ideas, you have to know what's acceptable for the player and what's not, which gets us to the question number 2. And then we also wondered how we can tap into the existing resources, as we already had a lot of locations and a lot of animals and some weapons, and still keep the wowing of our players happening. So that's what we wanted to measure. And remember, there was this underlying mission, how to sneak those dinosaurs. So that was still happening. So basically, the big question that we had in mind was, will the chaos of our creativity and our crazy ideas satisfy our players? And that was the underlying idea for the whole insights that we wanted to gather. The crazy solution that we came up with, and when you're thinking it's not crazy, just bear with me. We decided to ask our players. Yes, many companies do that. Almost every project does it, and that's quite normal. What's not that normal in my experience is to listen to what they think. We decided to be super open-minded and digest everything that they will share with us without putting any judgment, without any assumption that they don't know what they're saying, or maybe that they don't fully grasp the questions. Listening was the promise that we did to ourselves. And it wasn't easy at the beginning when I went to my team and I told them, like, look, we're gonna do this because limits of the creativity, right? What I call, and apologies for that, guys. I promised myself I try not to say it, and I tried for like 14 minutes, so I think it's time now. The artistic ego. Why would you ask? You know what's the most beautiful, you know what's the best. So we did a lot of mindset work as well, and we decided, okay, every one of us is ready. We're doing the survey. So the survey, and as I mentioned, I need to be a bit secretive about it, but I'm gonna share with you as much as I can so that you know how to do it. So when it comes to the preparation, we needed to make the following decisions. So we needed to decide on the type of research. And for that, it's not necessarily an artistic decision. If your company has a division of customer insight or any kind of division that helps you gather data from the players. That's the conversation you should have with them. If you don't have that, you can either like take notes now and try to do it by yourself, or reach out to an external company that helps with that kind of research. And once you know what kind of research you want to do, you have to choose the delivery method. And the delivery method is basically, how do you want to reach out to your players? How do you want to send the questions to them? Then you need to determine what kind of audience you want to include in your survey, which means how many people, what backgrounds, what geographics, what demographics. Are you interested in their spending habits? Do you want for them to be new players or to be in the game for a longer time? These are all the questions that you have to answer to make sure that the data that you're going to come up with is going to be coming from people who you see are your important players. Then you set up your specific research objectives. So you need to know what you want to find out. And it helps with forming the questions, and it also helps with forming the additional questions. As it's always good to ask a little bit more than the gems that you want to find out, just for them to maybe warm up, maybe start to dedicate more time thinking of the game. So that's very much recommended. And then at the end, you basically have to ask those questions that will match the goal. I mean, come up with them and then ask them. So the methodology that we have chosen, when it comes to the type of research, we decided to do a survey. We got the results from over 2,000 participants, which doesn't mean this is how many surveys we've sent. We've sent more of them. And then please keep that in mind as well for you. Not everyone will respond. We decided for specific regions and also for specific regularity and time frame. So we wanted to ask players who would spend X time in a week with us for certain amounts of months. And that was the demographics that we reached out to. We chose a simple delivery method, which was the inbox link, in-game inbox link. So when they opened the game, they could see it, they could respond, and they did. There are other ways as well, like you could do the interview, which you do with your players, but we wanted to understand more the quantity of the answers than only the quality. And our objectives: check with which currently available locations are most and least liked. So you can imagine that was quite stressful, because like someone will tell you they don't like exactly what you did, or they love what you do, but who likes to be criticized, right? And then we wanted to find out which location they would like to experience in the game. So what's missing for them at the moment. And I wanted to find out, can we sneak in fish? And then the last part was it to test the attitude towards the unrealistic or the fantasy locations. And I'm not going to mention why, because you know by now why. So the questions we asked, we divided them into two categories. So we showed them all the current visuals, and we asked them why they liked them, to understand what was the preference, and also what kind of locations they would like to see introduced in the future. And for that, I have a question for you. So, that's a moment when you stop doing the other thing and show me some support. Please go to the link that our moderators will put into the chat, or you can simply go to menti.com and put the voting code 3105-7632. That's menti.com 3105-7632. And please answer the quick question. Do you think the results take us by surprise? And I'm gonna check if you're answering. So the moderators told me that it's gonna take a moment because there is a little bit of delay in the transmission. But I'm really hoping that you will follow the link and I will see some answers coming, because one said no, that's not enough. Awesome. So we have one yes, we have more and more votes. I really appreciate you guys engaging. It gives me a lot of energy to continue. So if several more of you would like to click, I will take a sip of my tea and wait. Awesome, perfect. The voices are incoming. There is this vast majority of yes. So the assumption that the results did take us by surprise. So are we ready to find out? Let's have a look. And thank you so much, everyone who decided to vote. I really, really appreciate it. So back to our presentation. So did the result take us by surprise? Yes. If you've chosen yes, you were right. They did take us by surprise based on the data that we used before, coming from different observations and different departments. We assumed that different locations would be our players' favorite. However, if you voted no, you were right as well. Because what happened is we knew now that what we wanted is also what they wanted. And this was a very, very beautiful moment for us, as it meant that the players grew with us and they also wanted to see a little bit of those changes in the game, the ones that some of them we also wanted to introduce. So I really like how you assumed that we will be super, super surprised. We were, but I have to tell you that my team has an amazing intuition when it comes to our players, when it comes to the art style. And even at the beginning, when I wanted to do something a little bit more crazy, they had this fear that the players won't appreciate it. So we were also surprised and not surprised at the same time. So let me share what were the favorite and the least favorite locations and what we did with them. So this is our most favorite and beloved location by our players. And that's Bory Tucholskie, so Tuchola Forest. That's a Polish location, which is quite fun for us and quite nice because our company is also based in Poland. And our international players loved it. But look at the forest, guys. Like you just feel like you're in the forest. Then the other one also comes from Europe, and that's in Norway. That's Lomsdal-Visten. Again, totally different feeling. And also, this is a static image, but there are actually the northern lights moving when you're in the game, and the players loved it. And the third one that's most beloved is the Jim Jim Falls, and that's in the New Zealand. And again, the majestic nature here and the water streaming through the rocks, they really appreciate it. And brace yourself because the other part is coming now. Least favorite locations. So that's in Brazil. Apologies for my pronunciation, but basically it's a place called Serra dos Orgaos or similar, which, to be honest, is my favorite location, but the players didn't like it that much. The second least favorite location is Hunan in China. I find it beautiful and they didn't, which was very humbling. I have to be really honest with you. Getting these results is quite humbling. And then the least loved location is actually in Burma. And as you can see, you couldn't see it on the previous location, but what's common for this location and the other one, you can see parts of civilization on this. So it's not an official knowledge, but when I was preparing this presentation, that's kind of came to my mind as well, that maybe they don't even want to see a little bit of civilization because they really appreciate being in nature when they're hunting. Nature is the most important motivation to hunt for our players. What we did with those results, we did more or less what I've showed you here. So maybe a bit more. So we've chose a very safe, creative space. We ordered some amazing food. We blocked off the notifications. We sat in a room and we had a discussion. We had a location showcase and we had a discussion about what they like, what they don't like. We analyzed the visual differences between the locations and really wanted to see them the way the hunters did. So based on that, we're able to determine the elements that our players love. And believe me, when you have enough data and you look at them, it shows what they like and it also shows what they don't like. So more or less, we did a list of the approaches that we want to take on in the future. And also with that came some possibilities for new challenges for the team members. So on top of amazing the food, we also really enjoyed the future to come. And this is also something that you can do within your teams. Once you gather the data, you really build the whole event around it. it's team building, it's fun, it's something totally different to a day to day. And you listen to the players really open-mindedly, and also you go through the drama of stuff that they don't like as a collective, which helps. Of course, I'm joking with that, but you know, it was interesting to do that, and I highly recommend that you do something similar. So the next part was what are the most wanted locations? And again, that's a little bit of an interactive part because we're 25 minutes in. I'd love some more energy flowing. So, what do you think? If you were a player and you played in a game that offers a lot of nature, what locations would you like to see in the game? Please type that in the chat. And I know that Bastian, who's my amazing moderator, will help and just share those locations either with me or directly with you. So I will be stalling for a moment just to make sure that at least one or two person will type in something. Please don't leave me hanging. Let's see if there is anything that you believe you would like to experience in the game. And you don't have to be a hunter to do that, of course. It's more or less what kind of places would you like to be able to open a game and see. Okay, so I will be asking this question some more. And again, this is a moment to make a break and stop doing what you're doing and just put somewhere there. A sip of tea. Not gonna kill the silence, but it's gonna buy me some time. Okay, so it looks like everyone assumed that someone else will answer this question. Then let's not do it any longer. Let's just move on. I will show you now what kind of locations they really wanted to see in the game that I can disclose because we've already released them for our players. So the underwater location, yay! I could take the resources from other projects and super fun for technical artists. So we have the Florida underwater location and it's harpoon hunting. It's really beautiful and with the music it's just so relaxing and it's in the game. Another one is Madagascar, which was a lot of fun to our character artists and animators because the animals on that location are totally different and very beautiful. So that's what's already cooked and what you can already experience. Of course, there is more, but you will have to play to find out. And then the third question was, where are the limits of good taste? So how crazy can we go? What's too much for them? And unfortunately, I cannot share with you all the ideas, but I can share some. So, unrealistic location number one was definitely not zombies. I will just put it this way. And it kind of makes sense. If you want to experience nature, you don't want to experience zombies. However, we found out that several of the things that we did for the events, and we did a lot of fun stuff for the events, like for St. Patrick's Day, we did the whole location dress up, and we did the St. Patrick's spot, and we sometimes like would put the snowmen into the game. That was something that they really enjoyed. And then we had this green light from the players to do more of it. We did this research before the dinosaur day, and please believe me, on the dinosaur day, on the 1st of June, we were able to introduce special creatures, which were two dinosaurs. So we managed. That was already our success. The dinosaurs appeared in the game. Then they disappeared because they were only temporary, but we still had them. And we also had even more crazy ideas. Like we wanted to check if they would like to hunt as an animal, like if they wanted to be a falcon or if they wanted to be a frog. Definitely not. So it allowed us to understand where the limits of our taste. And part number 3 are conclusions. So what we've learned. The most exciting thing was that our creative chaos and our intuition and the hunches that we had and the creative needs that we had They did meet the order, and with the order I mean what the players needed and what our product owner wanted to see in the game. And what he wanted to see in the game is something that our hunters will enjoy. When it comes to the order, there was also one thing that was super fun and important for us. We came up with a backlog of a lot of locations that we could choose from. And because of that, we not only managed to have the editorial calendar for 2022, that's now coming to the end, but also we have every location planned until the end of the next year, which allows us to spend much more time on the creative work and much less time on worrying and coming up with solutions that we have to do fast and not to the quality that we would like to. What it also allows is to book more time from our programmers whenever we want some extra functionalities to do something extra, because we have the proof that what we want to do aligns with what the players want. We always get the green light, which is another blessing. So what has changed for us? The green light, as I mentioned, that's really, really important and helpful. And it's also very helpful for me as a manager, because now I have more peace of mind when I'm fighting for the stuff for my team, because I know that we're going into the right direction and what we're going to do is gonna help the project. And then it comes with the satisfaction and also certainty that we will be able to turn our ideas into profit. And we've also tested that on the locations that I mentioned to you before, and our players really enjoyed them. And it was great. And I can only imagine, but I think that when you're a player and you see what you wanted to see, when someone took time and asked you and acts on that, I think it helps for the loyalty for the product. So our players definitely gave us a testimony of that. And then one very important thing for us is that we know where to stop ourselves. So it doesn't mean that never will we ever do some of the ideas we want to do that were very edgy, but it definitely means that not in the nearest future, possibly not even in 2023. So that was a huge change for us. And I hope that if you decide to follow through and if you decide to do the surveys and ask those same questions or questions that you need to ask to your players, you will get some fun answers. You will have some insights that you haven't had, and that you will enjoy the process a lot. So by now, you should know the difference between dinosaur and zombie when it comes to the perception of the players of Hunting Clash. But I will repeat it just in case. So what our players really like is nature. And what's acceptable for them is an experience of nature in any form. And the dinosaur used to walk the earth. So it's a natural creature. And even though we never got to share the time on the planet with them, it's acceptable to have them in the game. However, a zombie, so far as we know, never walked the earth, and let's hope we never will. And therefore, it's not a good creature to put into a game that's about nature. So that's the answer to the question for you. That's the difference. I wish I could know what kind of difference you had in mind, but I guess I'm not gonna find out. So time to wake up. Everyone who's doing the emails, who's doing the creative work, who finished maybe their lunch. 3 most important takeaways again. So I'm gonna read them out for you. Data is much more fun than you may expect. It's fun to collect because it's really awesome to get down to the questions that you want to ask and to the motivation and to work with the mindset and be ready to get the answers that may not be in line with what you believe or with what you love from your work. And it's a lot of fun to play with, having a boot camp, having some gathering with your teammates, having the discussions, coming up with the solutions. It helps us a lot when we have to make a location a little bit quicker than we assumed, because we know that these are the key 20% of visuals that will make the 80% of the difference, the Pareto rule. So it's super helpful. It saves us a lot of stress. And then data in art is also much better than the guesswork. And it's a gateway to put your crazy ideas into the game, as long as they are not too crazy. And because you know that the players will be fine with that, and you know that this is what they want, and you know that you listened, it also monetizes better at the end because they got what they asked for. And all of it may not only be the way to add the dinosaurs into the realistic game, but also to do something even crazier more next time. And that's it from me. So now I would like to know, do you have any ideas that you would like to share? Any insights, any questions, anything that popped to your mind that I could be of service to you? If you do, please type your questions into the chat and I will do my best to address them.
Exactly that. Thank you so much, Anata, for right now. Because yes, if you have any questions, of course, put them into the questions tab. For you, I do have actually the answers in chat regarding the locations where people would love to
No way.
be. And I'm just gonna go from top to bottom. We
Mhm.
have Juan Pardo, who said the Sahara Desert. We have Katarina Karsprak, who said locations where they usually and normally cannot go. Matthias Bjork, on a boat in a swamp, which goes well with another comment saying Louisiana, New Orleans swamp. Then Blase Pratika said, maybe crazy idea, but moon hunting. Nico's asking
See,
about.
I promise you they will surprise you.
Nico, I love that idea, by the way. Just moon hunting, just seeing what's on the other side of the moon, the dark side. Incredible. Nico would love to go hunting in the snowy Alaska. Henrik Dudatsky said prehistoric areas, like in Far Cry Primal. Andre said jungle at noon. And the last input for that.
Specific, right?
That's very specific. And there's also Iceland, which I find interesting because it's so small. Incredible. What was just out of own interest? What was the most out of the picture request that you had so far?
I think the moon hunting took it all.
Oh,
so but when it comes to the game, I actually, because they love nature, they kept it quite realistic. So what was quite surprising was that the underwater was fine, because we assumed that they would be on land hunters. But yeah, for today, I have to say the moon hunting is the winner. But I think the sentiment is there, like with the answers that people shared here. And disclaimer, I'm not disclosing the results of our internal survey. But you kind of have a feeling that people want some locations that would be quite adventurous, like quite extremes, with either weather conditions or the way you will move around them. So it's a very interesting finding that actually sometimes you're putting on yourself the limits that are not there.
Very true.
And also, thank you everyone for sharing the responses. I really liked it because I was like going through this presentation thinking like, no one, not even one person.
No,
and here you are. So.
That's incredible. Also, Juan Pardo said that there's obviously rabbits living on the moon. So there's always stuff to hunt. But Anata, what would be a location that you would love to visit in that sense?
Wow. Swamps. Definitely
yes.
Louisiana swamp. Yeah, I think the location itself would be so mysterious and so, in some ways, mystical and scary, that having a creature popping up on you would be really, and the music in the background. And we have an amazing person doing the music for us, and that's a super well-known Polish composer. His name is Artur. No, that's not his name. Adam Skorupa. And
nice.
You know him because he also did music to. I don't know if I can disclose it. Thank you. To what he said.
We're I mean, since we're admiring also the work of the entire game development industry. Might as well just give a little shout out to the project from the people from State Project, and Adam Skorupa, incredible composer. So wow,
Yeah.
that's really exciting actually.
So this music is so amazing that I just have to say that sometimes I just open the game to listen to the music when I'm cleaning up or doing something like that. It's really beautiful. So I highly recommend trying it out.
We have a question from Irina asking, thanks for the speech, Aneta. Do you guys work with art outsourcing companies, or do you make everything in-house?
I don't know if I'm allowed to answer this question, to be honest.
That's fair. Nah, no offense or hard feelings regarding that. I mean, in the end, only answer what you can actually answer. But yeah. Incredible. I definitely have to look up the game, and especially the soundtrack, because I'm a big sucker for well composed music, and especially when it's very ambience and that heavy. Very, very good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and you don't actually have to. When you want to experience the location, you don't have to kill the animal. You can just shoot in the air and still see all the beauty of it.
Nice.
So if that's to your preference, then that's an option for that too.
We have a question from Tomasz Swoma, who says, in the survey, were players rating any specific aspects of the location, like art, atmosphere, etc., or just how they feel about them?
So they've rated how they feel about the locations in general. They had to choose the most and the least preferred locations, but then also we asked them, what exactly, like what's the reasoning behind that? So we want to check if this is the general feel of the location, the way the location looks like. Is it the weapons? Is it the animals? Is it the events? As the biggest thing that we had to distinguish from is, do they like what's happening on the location in terms of the events? And another shout out to our Life Ops team. Thank you so much for doing the amazing work. And I think I did already thank my great team, but if not, then thank you guys. I love you. And so that was the distinction between the events and the actual location experience. And within that, so we did that extension, and then within that we also checked, is it how the location looks, is it the animals, is it the how the experience, is it the music? So yes, it was segmented to understand.
Very cool. Katarina Kasprak says, I would love to learn from you. Are you hiring at the moment or in the new year?
Yes, it would be. It's a great question and it's a very nice one. Please go to our website and check the careers section, because we do hire, and the way we do it on our project in Hunting Clash, we love to hire less experienced people if they want to get more experience, and give them all the support they want, all the support they need to guide them, to help them with the technology, to help them with the mindset of an artist. So anyone who liked it and would like to join us, please go to our careers website at 10 Square Games and see what are the openings now, and look out for more coming next year.
Incredible. Aneta, thank you so much. If there's any more questions, I would say either they come in a hot last second. If not, I would love to say thank you so much for the talk, for the insight. Thank you so much for absolute pleasure. Thank you for being with us at DevCom Summits, for the Art and Animation Summit specifically. I hope to have you with us in the near future as well.
Likewise.
Very cool. All right. In this case, I would say any future questions, and actually that would be a question as well. Since I can't just say it to the viewers without having your consent first, would it be okay for people in the audience to send you more questions if they have any?
I'd love that. Absolutely.
Nice. Then, if you have any more questions, send them to Aneta directly, and we'll be back to the full hour with the next talk. Thank you all so much, and thanks for